Most people trade their time for money, and the moment their paycheck arrives, it slips through their fingers like sand. But what if I told you that the very next salary you receive holds the power to double itself within 90 days? If only you direct it with discipline, clarity, and purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pause for a moment and think about the money you earn every month. That paycheck, whether large or small, is not just payment for your time. It is a seed. And like any seed, it can be eaten at once and forgotten, or it can be planted, nurtured, and allowed to grow into something far greater. The difference between those who struggle and those who prosper is never luck, nor chance. It is in how they direct that seed of money. Here's the timeless truth. Wealth does not come from the amount you earn, but from the way you handle what you earn. Now imagine this. The moment your salary reaches your hands, before a single coin escapes into spending, you set aside a portion. Not after bills, not after entertainment, but first. The act of paying yourself first is the oldest law of wealth known to mankind. Begin with 10% if you dare. If you are bold, make it 20. This is your seed fund. Once set aside, you must not let it sit idle. Place it into something that grows, whether it be a savings account that rewards you with compounding, an investment in an asset, or perhaps most importantly, in knowledge that multiplies your earning power. Every dollar you dedicate to learning a skill, mastering your craft, or building an asset is a dollar that begins to work for you. Here lies the secret. Within 90 days, by the simple and repeated act of saving and directing your money into growth, you will begin to see the doubling effect. It may not be double in sheer numbers alone, but double in value, double in opportunity, and double in the power it gives you. And soon, those numbers will catch up to the vision. Think of money as a loyal servant. Left without orders, it grows restless and disappears. But given clear direction, it multiplies faithfully. The paycheck that once seemed small begins to stretch, and you find yourself not only wealthier but wiser, more disciplined, more capable. Money is much like a river. Left to flow aimlessly, it will scatter, evaporate, and vanish into the sands of impulse and forgetfulness. But when given direction, when channeled with intention, it becomes a current of power, capable of turning wheels, lighting cities, and shaping destinies. This is the truth most people never learn, for they mistake the possession of money for the control of it. The man who commands his money commands his future, while the one who spends without purpose remains a servant to every fleeting desire. Direction is not merely about saving, nor is it about hoarding. It is about assigning a clear mission to every dollar. A dollar without purpose disappears, but a dollar with direction begins to work, to multiply, to bring back more of its kind. The great fortunes of history did not grow by chance or accident, but by men and women who understood that money must be told what to do. Just as no army wins without orders, no wealth grows without guidance. Each time you receive your salary, you face a choice. You can scatter it like seed upon the wind, or you can plant it deliberately where it has the best chance to grow. Those who scatter always complain of lack, while those who plant enjoy the harvest. It is not how much you have today that matters, but the wisdom with which you guide it. Even the smallest stream, when consistently directed, carves valleys, nourishes fields, and creates life where once there was none. The habit of giving money direction builds character as much as it builds wealth. It teaches discipline, foresight, and patience. It forces one to think beyond the moment and into the years ahead. For money, once given purpose, becomes more than currency. It becomes a servant to your vision. It begins to accumulate not just in numbers, but in opportunities. The man who directs his money finds doors opening where others see only walls. He discovers that each dollar is a seed, and when planted in fertile soil, be it investments, knowledge, or enterprise, it returns with a harvest far greater than its size. This is why those who complain of never having enough remain in that cycle. They believe money is to be spent first and thought about later. They fail to see that the very act of direction is what creates more. Money is not meant to be chased, it is meant to be guided. Chasing it leads to exhaustion, but guiding it leads to abundance. The simple truth is this: the smallest act of direction today becomes the largest source of freedom tomorrow. So the question is never how much money you earn, but how much you guide. Every paycheck, no matter how small, contains within it the power to multiply. But only for the man or woman who dares to give it purpose, who tells it where to go instead of wondering where it went. For money, like all great forces in life, serves only the master who gives it direction. The habit of saving is the foundation upon which every fortune is built, whether great or small. It is not the size of one's earnings that determines wealth, but the discipline to set aside a portion, consistently, regardless of circumstances. A man may earn a great income and remain poor because he spends without restraint, while another with modest means builds security and abundance by the simple act of saving. Saving is not about deprivation, it is about direction. It is the quiet declaration that one's future is more important than one's impulses. Each coin set aside is more than money withheld from spending. It is proof of foresight, of maturity, of self-mastery. The one who saves demonstrates control over his desires and gains power over his destiny. Without savings, every setback becomes a crisis, every unexpected expense a disaster. With savings, those same events are reduced to inconveniences. Saving transforms life from a game of chance into a plan of certainty. The habit itself is more important than the amount. If a man learns to save 10 cents of every dollar, he has laid the groundwork for saving thousands when his earnings increase. But the man who waits until he earns more before saving will never begin, for the habit is not built on income but on discipline. The farmer who waits for perfect weather to plant will never harvest, and the man who waits for a higher salary to save will never know wealth. Saving is the seed from which opportunity grows. Money saved is money that can be invested, money that can be multiplied, money that can be used to seize the right chance at the right time. Those who save are always prepared when opportunity knocks, while those who spend all they have are left only with regret. The greatest fortunes of history began not with sudden windfalls, but with the steady accumulation of savings, disciplined and deliberate. There is also a psychological magic in saving. It builds confidence. It builds peace of mind. A man who knows he has reserves stands taller, makes decisions with more clarity, and approaches life with less fear. Anxiety comes not from the lack of income, but from the lack of security. To save is to silence that anxiety and replace it with quiet assurance. Even a small savings account carries with it a sense of strength, a feeling of progress, and a vision of the future made more secure. The world rewards the saver because saving is proof of responsibility. Employers trust him, lenders respect him, and opportunities gravitate toward him. He becomes reliable not just to himself, but to others. The foundation of wealth is not found in chance, speculation, or sudden strokes of fortune, but in the timeless, unchanging habit of saving. It is the starting point of freedom, the cornerstone of opportunity, and the discipline upon which every other form of success is built. The greatest investment a man can ever make is not in land, stocks, or business, but in himself. For a man can be stripped of property, robbed of possessions, even lose every dollar he owns, yet if he has built his mind, sharpened his skills, and strengthened his character, he can begin again and rebuild everything he has lost. Wealth that is rooted only in possessions is fragile, but wealth that is rooted in personal growth is indestructible. When you invest in yourself, you carry your fortune wherever you go. This investment is not measured in money alone, but in time, effort, and dedication. Every book you read, every skill you master, every lesson you apply becomes capital stored within you. No thief can steal it, no fire can burn it, no market can devalue it. A man's true wealth is his ability to think, to act, to create, and to serve. That ability comes only from the quiet, consistent choice to place personal growth above fleeting indulgence. Many seek to grow their money before they grow their mind, but this is to build a house upon sand. Without the discipline, knowledge, and wisdom to manage wealth, money quickly slips away. History is full of men who came into sudden riches only to be left destitute because they had invested in possessions but not in themselves. By contrast, those who invest first in their own development find that money naturally follows, for they become the kind of people who attract it, and the kind of people who know how to keep it. To invest in yourself means sharpening your ability to earn, to think critically, to solve problems, to lead, and to serve. It means dedicating a portion of your earnings not to temporary pleasures, but to courses, books, mentors, and experiences that stretch your capacity. Each dollar spent on personal growth is not an expense, it is seed capital that yields returns for a lifetime. The return of a dollar invested in self-improvement cannot be measured in arithmetic, for it multiplies in opportunity, influence, and confidence. The man who learns to invest in himself also discovers the power of compounding, not merely of money but of ability. A single book read today plants an idea that may grow into a decision tomorrow, a skill next year, and a fortune 10 years hence. One act of discipline repeated daily creates habits that shape destiny. When you invest in yourself, you set in motion a chain of growth that no external circumstance can halt. Those who neglect self-investment remain dependent on luck and circumstance, while those who embrace it become the masters of their future. Money invested elsewhere may bring gain or loss, but money and time invested in self always yield profit, for they transform the investor into someone greater. The wisest decision any man or woman can make is to build themselves first, For all others, success flows naturally from that foundation. Discipline with small amounts builds mastery over large sums, for the way a man handles a single dollar reveals how he will handle 1,000. Too often people believe they will learn control once they acquire more, but this is an illusion. The habits you form when money is scarce are the same habits that will follow you when money is abundant. If you are careless with a coin, you will be careless with a fortune. If you are wise with a small sum, you will be prepared for abundance when it comes. Great wealth is never entrusted to the one who has not proven faithful with little. Every fortune begins with the smallest seed. The mighty oak grows from an acorn, not from a forest already made. The same law governs money. By learning to direct the smallest amounts, saving a little, investing a little, resisting the urge to squander, you train your mind and character for the stewardship of greater wealth. Each act of discipline becomes practice for a larger stage. You do not suddenly become disciplined when you reach success. You reach success because you were disciplined in obscurity. Think of a craftsman. Before he builds great works, he first learns to shape small pieces of wood, cut simple patterns, and perfect the fundamentals. Only then is he trusted with grand projects. Money works in the same way. The world does not hand mastery over vast sums to those who cannot manage the smallest. By proving yourself in small matters, you prepare yourself for the responsibilities of larger ones. Discipline with small amounts also teaches patience. It shows you that wealth is not built by sudden windfalls, but by consistent choices made over time. A few coins set aside each day may seem insignificant, yet over months and years they grow into a foundation of strength. This quiet accumulation builds not only resources, but also the steady character of a person who knows how to wait, how to persist, and how to keep sight of the future while others chase temporary pleasures. It is in the small amounts that we make our greatest mistakes, for they seem unimportant. A careless coffee here, a needless expense there, and soon the stream of money is gone. Yet it is also in the small amounts that we build our greatest victories, for the habit of restraint, repeated daily, becomes the fortress of our financial lives. A man who conquers his impulses with a few dollars in his pocket has mastered something far more valuable than the money itself. He has mastered himself. When the larger sums arrive, as they inevitably do for the disciplined, he will already know the way. He will not be tempted by waste nor blinded by abundance, because he has trained himself in the art of stewardship. Wealth is not given to the undisciplined for long, but it grows and multiplies in the hands of the one who has shown respect for even the smallest portion entrusted to him. Opportunity seeks the prepared mind, for chance favors not the careless or the unready, but the man or woman who has quietly built the skills, the knowledge, and the vision to recognize it when it appears. Life presents opportunities to all of us, but only a few are able to grasp them, and the difference is preparation. Without preparation, opportunity passes unnoticed like a ship in the night. With preparation, it becomes the doorway to transformation. The prepared mind is like fertile soil. When the seed of opportunity is dropped into it, growth is inevitable. Most people imagine opportunity as something sudden, a stroke of luck that arrives at random, but in truth, opportunity is constant. It is all around us, waiting for the one who is equipped to seize it. Two men may face the same circumstance. One sees nothing, the other sees a fortune. The difference lies not in the circumstance, but in the mind that observes it. A prepared mind recognizes what others overlook, because it has trained itself to look deeper, to think longer, and to connect what others dismiss as irrelevant. Preparation is not glamorous, nor is it loud. It is the quiet work of study, practice, and discipline. It is the hours spent reading while others are entertaining themselves, the persistence of refining a skill while others quit at the first difficulty. Preparation builds confidence, and confidence is the key that unlocks action when opportunity arrives. A man who is unprepared hesitates, doubts, and misses his chance, but the prepared man acts with certainty, because he has rehearsed the moment long before it appeared. History is full of men who were called lucky, yet upon closer inspection, their luck was nothing more than preparation meeting circumstance. The inventor who solved a problem the world was waiting for, the businessman who saw a trend before it became obvious, the artist who spent years in obscurity before suddenly being called a genius. All of them were merely prepared for the opportunity that others ignored. Their luck was earned through discipline, and their success was inevitable because they had equipped themselves to meet it. The prepared mind is not only ready to receive opportunity, it also attracts it. Employers seek out the man who shows skill and reliability. Partners are drawn to those who demonstrate knowledge and vision. Even fortune itself seems to bend toward those who have trained themselves as though life rewards those who respect its laws. A man who sharpens his tools will always be called upon when the work is great, while the man who lets his tools rust is left behind. Opportunity is abundant, but it is selective. It does not belong to the dreamer who waits idly, nor to the careless who live only for the moment. It belongs to the one who prepares. For opportunity, like a guest of honor, knocks only at the door of the mind that is ready to welcome it. Money left idle loses value. Money given purpose grows, for money, like any tool, is meant to be in motion. A hammer gathers dust if never swung, and a ship rots if it never sails. The same is true of money. Stored thoughtlessly without direction or purpose, it erodes quietly, eaten by inflation, forgotten in drawers, or frittered away by impulse. But when money is placed where it can work, when it is given a task, it transforms from a symbol into a servant, multiplying itself and creating opportunity. The tragedy of many lives is not that they lack money, but that they allow the money they do have to sit idle. They think tomorrow they will learn what to do with it, tomorrow they will invest it, tomorrow they will make a plan. Yet tomorrow never comes, and the money that could have been the seed of growth becomes a ghost of what might have been. Every idle dollar is a lost worker, every unassigned coin a missed opportunity. Money is energy. It carries within it the power to create, to expand, to serve. But energy unused is energy wasted. A man who allows his money to sit idle is like a farmer who hoards his seed in the barn, afraid to plant it in the soil. Seed locked away cannot sprout, cannot multiply, cannot feed. The farmer who plants even with risk at least opens the door to a harvest. So it is with money. To let it sit is to guarantee decline, to put it to work is to open the way for growth. To give money purpose is to decide in advance what it will accomplish. Perhaps it is directed into savings that accumulate with interest, or into investments that build businesses and create jobs, or into education that sharpens the mind and increases future earning power. In each case, money placed with purpose grows in value, not merely by arithmetic, but by multiplying possibilities. The man who invests in his learning, for example, finds doors opening that would never open to the unprepared. The man who sets aside money for enterprise finds himself ready when the right moment arrives. The principle is simple: money is not static, it is alive. It moves toward disorder when left idle, but toward expansion when given direction. Those who treat it carelessly discover it slipping away like water through their fingers. Those who treat it wisely discover it gathering strength, compounding quietly, building momentum that one day becomes wealth. This is why the wealthy speak not of storing money, but of putting it to work. They understand that money is not to be kept, but to be commanded. To every dollar they give a duty, and in return those dollars bring back others. Money without purpose is a burden, but money with purpose is a servant, a builder, a force. And the difference between the two is not in the money itself, but in the mind of the one who holds its success is a game of consistent action, not sudden windfalls. For lasting achievement is never born in a moment, but in the quiet repetition of right choices over time. The world is fascinated with the idea of instant triumph, of the lucky break, of the one event that changes everything, yet history and experience tell another story. True success is patient, it is cumulative, it builds brick by brick, habit by habit, action by action. The windfall may come, but without consistency it vanishes as quickly as it appeared. The man who depends on luck soon returns to struggle, while the one who builds with discipline stands firm no matter what fortune does. Consistent action has a power that luck can never rival. It develops skill, it strengthens character, and it produces results that cannot be taken away. When you rise each day with purpose, when you take even the smallest step toward your vision, you set in motion forces far greater than you realize. These small acts, repeated over weeks and months, gather momentum. They compound like interest, turning modest beginnings into extraordinary outcomes. The habit of daily progress, no matter how slight, will outlast and outweigh the rare event of sudden fortune. Windfalls deceive, for they create the illusion of permanence where there is none. A lottery ticket may make a man rich overnight, but if he has not built the habits of wealth, he will soon be poor again. A sudden opportunity may give someone a brief taste of success, but if he has not prepared through consistent effort, he cannot sustain it. Success without a foundation is a house built on sand. The rain comes, the winds blow, and it collapses. But success built on steady action is like a fortress upon rock. It endures, it expands, it withstands. Consistency also trains the mind to value process over outcome. When you learn to act daily, regardless of immediate reward, you detach yourself from the impatience that ruins so many dreams. You begin to trust the law of cause and effect, knowing that each right action, though invisible today, is creating visible results tomorrow. This kind of thinking transforms a person, for he no longer depends on chance or circumstance but on his own discipline and persistence. Success is not a sprint, it is a marathon, and the one who endures daily with determination inevitably outruns the one who relies on a burst of speed. The man who writes 1 page a day will one day hold a book in his hands. The man who saves a small portion of his income each month will one day know financial freedom. The man who exercises regularly, even in short sessions, will one day stand with health and vigor that no sudden effort could create. Success belongs not to the one who waits for fortune, but to the one who builds patiently through consistent action. Growth demands patience, not impulse, for nothing of lasting value is ever built in a rush. The oak does not spring up overnight, it spends years deepening its roots before it rises tall above the earth. The farmer does not harvest the day after he plants, he tends the soil, waters the seed, and waits for nature to do its quiet work. In the same way, personal and financial growth require time, discipline, and the willingness to persist long after the excitement of beginning has faded. Impulse may bring a moment of movement, but only patience creates true progress. The danger of impulse is that it gives the illusion of action without the substance of results. Impulse spends recklessly, acts hastily, and seeks shortcuts, but growth is never found in shortcuts. Growth requires a steady hand, a calm mind, and the endurance to continue even when results are not yet visible. Impulse destroys what patience could have built, for impulse is rooted in emotion, while patience is rooted in principle. A man who makes decisions from impulse may gain briefly but will lose inevitably, while the one who acts with patience builds steadily and securely. Patience is not passive. It is not waiting idly for something to happen. Patience is active preparation, the daily tending of habits, the repeated practice of skills, the constant refining of character. It is doing the work today with confidence that tomorrow will reveal its value. The patient man saves when others spend, studies when others idle, and invests when others chase after fleeting pleasures. He understands that growth does not announce itself with fireworks, it whispers through gradual improvement, through the quiet compounding of effort over time. The great mistake many make is to abandon the process because they cannot yet see the results. They plant the seed and, finding no sprout the next morning, they dig it up to check its progress, killing it in the process. But growth demands trust, it demands faith in the unseen, the willingness to continue without applause, the certainty that the laws of cause and effect are always at work. To act with patience is to align oneself with these laws, knowing that every step, no matter how small, moves one closer to the harvest. Impulse, on the other hand, is the enemy of growth. It spends before saving, quits before learning, judges before understanding. It seeks pleasure now and sacrifices the future. A man who lives by impulse finds himself constantly starting over, because he never stays long enough on the path to see the results. But the man who embraces patience finds that his growth, though slow, is sure, and in time, it far surpasses what impulse could ever achieve. Growth is the reward of patience. It belongs to the one who refuses to hurry, who understands that the greatest things are built slowly, who persists calmly while others scatter their energy on whims. To practice patience is to choose permanence over momentary thrill, the harvest over the fleeting pleasure of impulse. Your salary is not the end, but the seed, for the money you earn is never meant to be the final reward, but the beginning of something greater. Too often men and women look upon their paycheck as a ceiling, the limit of what they can do and what they can have. They spend it as quickly as it comes, believing its purpose is merely to sustain them until the next one arrives. But a salary, like a seed, holds within it the potential to multiply, to grow, and to create a harvest far beyond its original size, if only it is planted with intention and nurtured with discipline. A seed by itself has little value. It cannot feed you, it cannot shade you, it cannot build you shelter. Yet when planted in fertile ground, given water, sunlight, and time, it becomes a tree that produces fruit season after season. Your salary works in precisely the same way. Spent entirely on immediate needs and fleeting pleasures, it disappears without trace. But directed wisely, saved, invested, and used to build knowledge and assets, it becomes the foundation of financial independence and lasting prosperity. The secret lies in how you choose to view what you earn. The unwise see their salary as the harvest and consume it all. The wise see it as the seed and plant a portion of it for the future. This simple shift in thinking makes the difference between a life of endless dependence on the next paycheck and a life of freedom where money begins to work for you. A man who understands that his salary is seed will never spend without thought, for he knows each coin carries within it the possibility of becoming more. But a seed planted once is not enough. Just as a farmer returns each season to sow again, you must treat every salary you receive as an opportunity to plant in you. Consistency is the soil in which wealth grows. Month after month, year after year, the habit of setting aside a portion creates momentum. Compounding begins its quiet work, and soon what was once a small act of discipline becomes a flourishing orchard of resources and opportunities. Your salary is not meant to chain you but to free you. It is not the destination but the tool that builds the path to greater things. With it, you can acquire knowledge that multiplies your earning power, invest in ventures that create streams of income, or build reserves that provide security and peace of mind. Each choice you make with your salary is either planting for the future or consuming the seed. The truth is simple yet profound. Every dollar you earn has the power to become more than itself. But that power is lost the moment you treat it only as something to be spent. A salary is not the end, it is the beginning. It is the seed from which all financial growth can come, if you have the vision to plant it, the patience to nurture it, and the wisdom to let it grow. Wealth begins with a decision, not a number, for true prosperity is never the result of a certain income or a specific balance in the bank. It begins long before the first dollar is saved, long before the first investment is made. It begins in the quiet resolve of the mind. A man may earn a modest wage yet build a fortune, while another may earn a vast income and remain forever in debt. The difference lies not in their numbers, but in their decision. Wealth is a choice to think differently, to act differently, and to discipline oneself to build a future rather than consume the present. The world is filled with people waiting for more money before they begin to save or invest, but they wait in vain. They believe wealth will arrive once their salary rises or once their circumstances change, yet those who live with this belief never begin. They fail to see that wealth is not the result of more, but the result of using what one already has with wisdom. The smallest decision to save a little, to invest a little, to spend with purpose instead of impulse is the true beginning of wealth. It is not numbers that build security, but the habit of direction. A man who decides that a portion of every dollar he earns will be kept and grown has already stepped onto the path of prosperity. He may begin with pennies, but his decision has placed him among those destined for abundance. The size of his start is irrelevant. What matters is that he has begun. The man who waits for the perfect number, the right time, or the larger income never begins, for the habit is absent and the decision has not been made. Wealth is built in the mind first. It is the decision to live by principles rather than impulses, to build rather than consume, to plan for tomorrow rather than surrender to today. It is the decision to learn, to grow, to prepare for opportunities before they appear. Numbers follow such decisions naturally, for the laws of cause and effect reward discipline and foresight. When a man chooses to think like the wealthy, he begins to attract the very circumstances that lead to wealth. This is why so many who receive sudden riches lose them quickly. They never made the decision to be wealthy, they merely received the numbers. Without the mindset, without the discipline, without the decision, the numbers vanish. But those who have made the decision even with little, find that whatever they touch begins to multiply, for they have become the kind of person who can sustain and grow wealth. The beginning of wealth is not outside, but inside. It is not measured by figures on a page, but by the resolve in a man's heart. The moment you decide that you will live with discipline, that you will direct your money with purpose, that you will build instead of consume, you have already taken the most important step. Wealth is not a number you reach one day. It is a decision you make today. Something went wrong while generating the response. If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at help@openeye.com. Retrieve the truth is clear. Money is not the master but the servant, and its power is revealed only when guided with wisdom and discipline. Your salary is not the end but the seed. Wealth does not begin with numbers but with a decision. Growth is never the product of impulse but of patience. Success is not found in sudden windfalls, but in the quiet rhythm of consistent action. Money left idle withers, but money given purpose multiplies. Opportunity does not visit the careless, but seeks the mind that has prepared. Discipline with little builds the strength to handle much, and the habit of saving lays the foundation upon which all prosperity rests. To invest in yourself is to plant the richest seed of all, for it ensures that whatever you may lose, you will always have the power to rebuild. The laws are timeless, the principles unchanging. Align yourself with them, and you align yourself with abundance. Decide today to act with intention, for in that decision lies the key to every door you wish to open